Alright, so we're looking at the paper 2 from summer of 2013. The grade boundaries this year out of the two papers was 115 to get a grade C, so we're looking at 58 on each paper. And you can see here that that means that if you get everything right up to and including question 11, then you've only really got to pick up the odd mark to be guaranteed of a grade C. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. Calculator allowed, paper 2. And we've got a bill here that we've got to work out the cost of. The first one is given, and you need to remember to include that when you work out the total. And then we've got 9 packs of sausages at £4.39 a pack. So it's going to be 9 lots of £4.39. SD turns it into decimal, so that's £39.51. And then we've got 12 steaks costing £6.32 each. So that comes to £75.84. Then we need to work out the total, so you're going to add them all together. £40.41 plus £39.51 plus £3.04 plus £75.84. So that equals that. Now you must remember that we're in money, so we've got to work to 2 decimal places, and the 0, if it's not there, is on the end, so don't fall into the trap of writing 08. What you have to write is 80. So it's £158.80. 20% discount for a calculator. Easiest way to do that now is to write 20% as if you were writing 20 pence in pounds, which would be that, and then you multiply that by the total. So that's already on my calculator, so I've just got to do times 0.20, which is £31.76. Then check to make sure that that answers the question. How much was this discount? That's correct. If the question was to then ask how much does he pay, you would have to take that off that, but that's fine, so that's done. For that you get 1 mark for each of the calculations in there. Oh, I missed one part of that outlook. For this one you've actually got to work out how many packs of stuffing you bought. Now where you have to be careful here is that that's in pounds and that's in pence, so you have to divide that by that in pounds, so it's going to be 3.04 divided by 0.38 equals, so it's 8 packs. I would imagine quite a lot of people missed that out, didn't actually see it there, so there's 1 mark for that 8 missing there. It does actually say 4 entries, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then for the discount, you're going to have 1 mark for your method of finding the 20% and 1 mark for the answer. Okay, for this one then, it's to do with metric units, but this time they're giving you a choice. The length of a football pitch would be meters. Weight of a man would be kilograms. Now you've got a choice of 2. That's more than half a ton. That's the sensible one. Capacity of a cup, it's fluid, so it's either going to be litres, millilitres or millilitres. 2 litres would be a bucket. 1 milliliter would be less than a teaspoon, so the sensible answer is that one. And the area of the page in a book is one that you might struggle to think about, but you know, if you're given one of those in the exam, just measure the size of your page. So this here is about 30 centimeters by 20 centimeters. 30 times 20 is 600, so I'm looking for something in that sort of area, and its area, that one's volume because it's centimeters cubed, so that is the sensible answer. So you'll have 1 mark for each of those. Question 3. Box is placed on a scale. 8 identical blocks are then placed into the box. So if we take a look at the scale that we've got going here, it's going from 0 to 100 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jumps. So 100 divided by 5 is 20. So each little grade is 20 grams. So you've got 100 divided by 5 equals 20 grams per dash of the scale. So first of all, then you can use that to work out how much the 8 blocks weigh. You can probably guess from the noise outside what night I'm doing this paper on. There's fireworks going off all over the shop. So the total weight of the 8 blocks and the scale is going to be, if you're reading around, you've got 900 grams, and then you've got another 1, 2, 3, lots of 20s, so that's 960 grams. And from that you've got to take away the actual weight of the scale itself, the empty box, which is going to be 240 grams. So that comes to 960, take away 240, 720 grams. For 8 blocks, the question's asking for how much 1 block weighs, so you've then got to divide that by 8. $720 divided by 8, 90 grams. So the marks for that, you've got 1 for reading off the 960 and 240. You've got 1 for the method of taking them away and dividing, and 1 mark for the final answer. So the total marks for that page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13. So you get all that page right and you're already guaranteed a grade. Okay, now they're testing your knowledge of geometrical terms. Special name of that, if it was going through the center, it would be a diameter. It's not going through the center, so it is called a chord. This line, which just touches the outside of a circle, is called a tangent. Measure in centimeters the length of the line AB in the diagram below. Obviously, if you printed this out full size, it'll be different, but I would say for mine that is 7.9 centimeters. And draw a line perpendicular to AB that passes through C. Now, if in your pencil case you have a set square, which I thought I had one, I haven't, which I can't show you. If you had a set square, it gives you a right angle. If you haven't got a set square, then you can just use these straight lines. These lines here are perpendicular to the edge of the ruler. So if you line up one of those lines so that it's covering up the line that's been drawn, and you slide it until it goes through C, then that is going to create your perpendicular line. And if you put a little box there, that's showing you know that it's supposed to be 90 degrees. So for question 4, you got 1 mark for chord, 1 mark for tangent, 1 mark for a correct measurement of length, and 1 mark for perpendicular. Question 5. The above shape is the outline of a pond in a park. It is drawn on a square grid where each square represents 6 square meters. Estimate the area of the surface of the pond. So we're going to use the counting squares method that we've used in other papers as well, but we have an extra step that we have to take this time because each of those little squares isn't representing 1 square centimeter, it's representing 6. So what we have to do once we've counted our squares is then multiply the answer by 6 to turn it into the real life surface. But the method that we're going to start off with is exactly the same. Count squares which are more than half covered by the shape. Okay, so I'm writing that in, there's no harm in you doing the same, it's showing your method, but if you're just going to dot the ones you're including, then that's fine too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Maybe you'd include that one, maybe not. I won't. I'll keep it as 50 squares. So it's 50 squares, and then you have to, each one of those squares represents 6 meters. So you can do 50 times 6, 300. And this time it's not telling you to give you units, it's already there for you, 300 units. So the method is for counting the squares, okay, whether you're going to write how you're doing it or putting them on the diagram. You're going to have an answer mark for anything between 46 and 52, so I'm in the middle, and then you're going to have a final mark for correctly then multiplying that by 6. So the total for that page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we have a symmetry question. Now my advice is turn your page around. I find it easier to see the symmetry when I'm running my eye along it. Deal with the corners and the straight lines first. So we have this one here, which is to that side, so it's going to end up to that side. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're back to the start. So join your straight lines up first of all, get those done out of the way, and then deal with the curve. So this curve is coming in a little bit there, then it's crossing about there before coming to there, and to there, and to there, and then to there. So I put those dots in, and then I'm just going to join the dots together like that, and that's a pretty good symmetrical looking curve. So I'm happy with that. The marks for that are going to be 1 mark for having both the straight lines, so dealing with that, and then the other mark is for getting a good curve going. Now for question 6, it isn't going to work on a reduced page because that isn't going to measure 7 by 3. So when you're doing this one, if you're doing it at home, you're going to be better off printing out the shape. Let me just zoom out so that fits on. So what we've got is this sort of wedge shape, which we need to draw a net of. So we're going to lay it out flat, as if we're going to take that shape, cut the edges so that we can lay it out flat. And this is going to be the base. So if that's the base, let's deal with the triangular edge. That is going to fold downwards. Okay, so it's going to come out like that. And this side is going to be along there, and it's going to be 4 centimeters further down. So I'm going to measure 4 centimeters down and draw that in, and then join up with that one. So that is the front triangular face that's been folded down. Now on the other side of that prism, you're going to have another one exactly the same, which is going to fold down flat the other way. So we'll draw that one in now. So that one goes like that. So that is 4, and that is 4. Then we got this front flap, which is going to come that way. This side is 7, and this side is 5. And what that is going to be is a rectangle. So it's going to be a rectangle that comes across here 5 centimeters. And it's going to go up there, across there, 5 centimeters, and then down. So that is 5 centimeters. So if you just think about this three-dimensional shape, now what I've got, there's my base, there's the back flap, there's the front flap, which are the triangular ones, and that there is the side that you can see there. So there's still one more side that is missing, which is the back bit. If you think about this shape, if I just add some dotted lines to it so that you can see what's going on. Okay, if that's the inside of the shape, we've got this back flap or back face as well, which is going to go down like that. And that is going to have a height of 4, so when it comes down, it's got to join up against that one. So we need another 4 centimeter line now, taking us out this side. Like that. So that's 4 centimeters too. So that now is the complete flattened out shape that you would get if you took that and cut it and was able to lay it out flat. So the marks for that, you're going to have one mark for the 2 triangles. You're going to have one mark for this rectangle, which is the 7 centimeter by 4 centimeter. You're going to have one mark for this rectangle, which is the 7 by 5, and you're going to have one final mark for making everything look like a net. So if you made a mistake with one of the measurements, that would be fine. You would still get a mark for showing you understanding what a net looks like. So the total for that question is 4. Which would mean total for the page is 6. Question 7. Draw a circle around all the following fractions that are equal to 0.6. Now on a, let me just zoom in again, on a calculator allowed paper, this is an absolute dream, because you've got a fraction button which converts into decimals. So the fraction button is the little square over the square. So 12 over 20, you press the square over the square, 12, move down 20. If you press equals once, it turns it into the simplest fraction. Okay, so if it was a question that said show these in their simplest form, that would give you the 3/5. Then the SD button turns it into a decimal for you. So 12 out of 20 is 0.6. Circle around it. Do the same with 1/6. SD 0.16, not the same as 0.6. 9/15. 3/5. 0.6. Put a circle around it. 6 out of 10. Oops. 3/5. 0.6. Put a circle around it. Finally, 5/20. Quarter. 0.25. Don't put a circle around it. So a question like that, if you know how to use your fraction button and your decimal converter button, it's such easy marks. 75%. Well, hopefully you can see that this shape is easily cut into quarters, and you should know that 75% is 3/4 of it. So in quarters, that's 1/4, that's another quarter or a half, that's your 3/4. What fraction of the following shape is shaded? Give your answer in its simplest form. Well, let's count how many squares or how many blocks are shaded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Out of how many blocks are there altogether? Well, the quickest way to count that is to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5 eighths are 40. So 10 out of 40, that's not in its simplest form. If you can't see what that is by looking at it, use your fraction button. 10 out of 40 equals a quarter. So in its simplest form, it's a quarter. So marks for that are going to be 2 marks for both of them. 1 mark for any 2 right, and so long as you've got no more than one other wrong one. 1 mark for correctly shading that, and 1 mark for 10 out of 40. Both marks if you write a quarter. Question 8, negative numbers question with temperature. Complete the following table which shows the temperature at 11 p.m, change in temperature, and the temperature at 11 a.m. the next day in each of 3 places. The first one has been done for you. So a temperature change up means it's getting warmer, so that will take you from a cold temperature to a warm temperature. So here we're going from -2 up to 0. We're going up 2 degrees C. And then in Moscow we're still going up, but we end up still at a negative, so we're going to be 5 degrees further colder than that at the start, which is going to be -8. Calculate 53% of 82. It's a calculator paper. Don't waste time trying to find 10% and 1%. Write 53% as if you're writing 53 pence in pounds, times 82. Times 82 equals, turn it into a decimal, 43.46. And then 8C. Each block shown in this tower is to have a number displayed on it. For each pair of blocks that are next to each other in the same row, the number on the block above them is the total of the numbers on the 2 blocks. Some of the numbers have already been displayed. What number should be written on the box marked X? So what this is saying is that that number there and the number in that block there must add up to give 9. So that must be 6. If that's 6, that number and that number added together will make that number, so that number must be 11. we're stuck then, because I can't work out what that one is because I don't know that one. But I do know that 11 add 9 is 20, which will make that one. If I know that one, I can work out what that one is, because that and that together must add up to 38, which means that one must be 18. If that's 18, this one must be 7. If that one's 7, that must be 2, because 5 and 2 will make 7. Which means that, where do I go from there? That must be 10, because 10 and 7 make 17, which means x must be 8. So you don't need to work them all out in order to get there. Now, the marks for that, you get 1 mark for getting the 11 and the 6. You get 1 mark for any other 4 numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4 will be fine. And 1 mark for getting 8. For 8a, 1 mark for the up 2, 1 mark for the negative 8. You get 1 mark for your method, 0.53 times 82, and 1 mark for the answer. So total for that page, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Question 9. Describe in words the rule for continuing, zoom in again, the following sequences. So we're looking to give the answer in words. First thing to do, look how it's going up. So it's going up, that one's up 4, that one's up 4. So you're having 4 added to them every time. So the rule in words is going to be add 4 to previous number, or add 4 each time, and so on. It's not an nth term question, so you haven't got to worry about working out the nth term. It's just what you've got to do to continue it. Now with this one, clearly it's not having the same amount subtracted each time, because we're going from 9 to 3 there, and we go from 243 to 81 there. So it's not a subtraction question. So the next thing to try after that is a multiply, and it's getting smaller, so it's not multiplying. So then you're going to try a divide. So if you do 243 divided by 81, we get 3. So that's divided by 3. If we do 81 divided by 3, we get 27. So clearly this is a divide 3 question. So you're going to do 9 divided by 3, and then you're going to do 3 divided by 3. So the rule is divide previous number by 3. A toy costs t pence. Write down in terms of t the cost of the toy in pounds. So to turn pence into pounds, we have to divide by 100. So you're either going to be writing t divided by 100 or t over 100. Both of those would be fine. On June the 9th, 2012, Beryl was M years old. Write down in terms of M, her age, on June 9th, 2002. Well, that's 10 years ago, so it's going to be her age in 2012, take away 10 years. Solve 3x take 7 equals 11. First thing to deal with is the take 7. In order to get rid of that, we have to take 7 off both sides. So if we take the 7 off that side by adding 7, then that means that we have to do the same on the right hand side, and the opposite as I said, with take 7 is add 7. So we get 3x is 18. Then we deal with the 3. The 3 and the x are joined by a times. Opposite of timesing is dividing. In algebra, we write divide like that, and 18 divided by 3 is 6. There's a connection between the x and y coordinates in each of the following sequence of points. So the x coordinate is the first one, that's going 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the y one is going 2, 5, 6, 7. So that y coordinate is 3 bigger than the x coordinate. That y coordinate is 3 bigger, and 3 bigger. So that's going to be 3 bigger than 5, which is 8. And if that's x, this is going to be 3 bigger than x, which means it's going to be x plus 3. Total for question 9. 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark. For this one, you get 1 mark for getting down to 3x equals 18, and then 1 mark for your answer of 6. And for D, you're going to have 1 mark for 5, 8, and 1 mark for x plus 3. Question 10. So if we get question 10 right, then we're getting close to the C grades then. So the amount of money in pounds saved by Alan for each of 8 months was shown as below. Find the range. So in order to work the range out, you need to find the largest value, which is 82, and take from it the smallest. So the largest is 82, the smallest is 24, so the range in how much he managed to save was 82 take away 24, 58 pounds. In order to find the mean, you need to add all of those together. Now I'm going to write them out. You could just put a plus, 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 plus and an equals up there, that's fine, but when it comes to just printing out these answers in months to come, it's better to see it down here. So we've got 43, 30, 75, 54, 62, 46, 24, 82. We add all those together. So 43 plus 30 plus 75 plus 54 plus 62 plus 46 plus 24 plus 82 is 416, and then we have to divide that by however many numbers there are, and in this case is 8. There are 8 months, so you do 416 divided by 8 is 52 pounds. If Alan had saved £15 less every month, what would the mean be? Well, if it was £15 less every month, that means the mean is going to be £15 less than that mean, because it'll be consistent for every value. So you're going to do 52 less 15 is 37 pounds. But the range will be exactly the same, because the largest value is going to be £15 less and the smallest value is going to be £15 less, so the range will be unaffected. So for question 10, 1 mark for that. For the mean, you're going to have 1 mark for getting 416, 1 mark for the total divided by 8, and 1 mark for 52, and then 1 mark for each of those. Total for the page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, then we've got a bearings question, and again I'll do this on a full size because it's got a scale. P and Q are two ports shown on a map with a scale of 1 centimetre to 8 kilometres. Find the straight line distance in kilometres from P to Q. So P to Q, if we measure that distance, I'll put it on as a dotted line, the examiner knows I'm trying to do the right thing. That distance is 9.4 centimeters. So PQ is 9.4 centimeters. What the question is saying is that 1 centimeter is 8 kilometers, so 2 centimeters would be 16 kilometers. 9.4 centimeters would be 9.4 times 8. So 9.4 times 8 equals 75.2 kilometers. So when you're using a scale to go from the page to real life, you're going to multiply by that. But if we were going the other way, we'd have to shrink it down, so we'd be dividing. Right, second part. The ship is on a bearing of 147 degrees from P. So let's deal with that one first of all. From P means that you're standing there with your protractor and measuring 147 degrees. So I just zoom out a little bit here so that it's easier to see. So I'm going to put my protractor on P, and for bearings the 0 always lines up with north, so let's line that up with north, and the angle that we're looking for is 147. Now 147 degrees is bigger than 90 but smaller than 180, so I'm expecting something over here. So 147 is going to be around the outside, 0, 10, 20, round to 120, 130, 140, 145 is the long one in the middle, then 146 and 147. Put a dot there, and then send your line right the way across the page. The ship is somewhere on that line, but we don't know where. In order to know where, we need to fix a bearing from Q as well. And go back to the question, it's on a bearing of 21 from Q. 21 is acute, so it's not going to be a big turn. Get your protractor, center now goes on Q, 0 once again goes from north, and this time we're going 10, 20, 21 would be there. So you draw your line now from Q through that new bearing, and where the two lines cross is where your ship is, and make sure that you mark that with a dot and call it X so that you're showing where it is. Alright, so this angle here is 147, this angle here is 21. So 6 marks for that question, and the 6 marks work out like this. So the first mark is for the measurement, then 1 mark for times it by 8, and 1 mark for the correct answer. And then for this one you've got a mark for measuring 147 correctly, you've got a mark for measuring 21 correctly, and you've got a mark for X marks the spot for getting that in the right place. So total for that question is 6, which which I'll just write there so that we remember. Question 12. God, I wish those files would shut up. Question 12. In an examination, candidates sit two written papers called paper A and paper B. So this is the question that we've got the extra 2 marks for how we explain what we're going to do. In the forthcoming exam, there are 1,200 candidates, each sitting paper A and paper B. In one day, markers can either mark 60 paper A's or mark only as half as many paper B's. The marking must be completed in 10 days. How many markers are needed to complete the marking in this time? Okay, so I've got 1,200 paper A to mark, and the first thing I need to know is how many days it will take one marker to mark those 1,200 papers. Okay, so one marker needs 1,200 divided by 60 . 20 days to mark paper A's. Then we need to work out how many markers or how many days one marker would need to mark paper B's. Now, one marker needs 1,200 paper B's, but they can only mark half as many paper B's in a day, so we divide this by 30. So you're going to do 1,200 divided by 30, 40 days to mark paper B's. But we've only got 10 days to do this. So rather than the 60 days that's going to take, we're going to need 6 different markers. Okay, we're going to need 2 markers to do the paper A's and get those done in 10 days. So for paper A's, we'll need 2 markers to complete in 10 days. And for paper B's, we'll need 4 markers to complete in 10 days. So the total number of markers I'm going to need is 6. So 6 markers will be needed altogether. So just to go through what we've done there. In one day, markers can mark 60 paper A's. So if there's only one marker, they're going to need 20 days to do 1,200 of them. So one marker, 20 days. So for 10 days, I need 2 markers. They can only mark half as many paper B's. So they can only do 30 of those in a day. So one marker would need 40 days to mark all of paper B's. We've only got 10 days, so we need 4 markers to get those done, 6 altogether. So for that, you're going to have 1 mark for the method of finding the paper A's, and 1 mark for the answer of 20. The same for the paper Bs. Then you're going to have 1 mark for either the 2 markers or the 4 markers, and 1 mark for the 6 markers altogether. And then there are 2 marks for how you communicate what you've done with your writing. So total for that page: 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 marks for that page. Question 13 is our construction question. So if you're one of my lot watching this, we will have practiced these the week before half term. So using a ruler and pair of compasses, construct an angle of 120 degrees at the point A on the line below. Okay, so 120 degrees is 2 lots of 60. I know that in order to construct a 60 degree angle, I'm going to put my point where the angle is going to be formed and draw an arc of a circle. I then don't change my compass point, move it to where it crosses the line and draw another arc. If I join A through there, that's going to be a 60 degree angle. If instead, I just dropped my compass, that was good, isn't it? If instead I move the compass point to there, that's going to add another 60 degrees to my angle. If I did it again, it would add another 60 and take me back to a straight line. So the 120 degrees is 2 lots of 60, which is like that. So there is my 120 degrees. And then the line bisector means you need to cut that line in half, and you've got to use the compasses, so you need to see the marks. So you open your compass over halfway and you draw part of a circle above, part of a circle below. You then don't change how far open your compasses are. Move the compass point to Q and do the same to cross the 2 arcs like that, and then you go through like that, and there's your perpendicular bisector. Question 13 marks for that. Hang on. 1 mark where we need to see the workings out, sorry, not the workings out, the curve, part of the circle and the tick marks. There'll be 1 mark for that, and 1 mark for the correct angle. And then for part B, again 1 mark for seeing the intersections and 1 mark for drawing the line. Okay, I'll stop the clip there.